The other thing that I find is very helpful to remove the stories, right? Because the stories imply a this and a that, right? Or a my version, their version, you know. And I found that mechanics, like understanding the mechanical nature of it, really helps trim the fat, come to a place of uh, shared truth. And what I mean by that is like, how are you operating? You know, in my case, is am I waiting to respond? When I have a response, is it being followed through on? Is there somewhere that I'm initiating? And if I'm initiating, am I being accountable to it? Because when you do that, right? Because this is what happens inside of when people come to me, and whenever I would go to Marianne, and it would be some form of a crisis normally, you know. And Marianne's question would always be like, "Well, how did it start?" You know, and inevitably, most of the time, it would be like, "It sounds like you initiated." Oh, I did, right? Or it's would be like, "Well, did you get your sound?" No. Okay, so you answered in words and you believed them. Motherfucker. You know, it just took everything and it made it so simple. It was just like, what were the mechanics of something? And this goes back to why for me it's so important that hopefully you get to see how your mind interferes with your life, right? Um, like the example that happened inside the immersion in Bulgaria and then came up in the online sharing I gave around, this projector who felt like generators needed to be educated on, a little bit more training on how to offer, giving a projector more of what they need. And in that, it was like, what? And it came back to, well, no, how clean are you? And what I mean by clean is, how correct are you? And one of the things that I saw in that particular thing was a projector sees that a generator has a response potential, right? And so they beat them to the punch. They can see where the energy wants to go. They experience where the energy wants to go, and so they beat them to that before the personality in the person is able to express what might be something they could respond to. And so, in a particular case, when it's them, the projector doesn't actually get the invitation, but they're able to give the generator a question that allows the generator to respond. But the projector never actually gets to receive the entry, you know? And the practical example is in this particular case, and I've watched projectors do this, they they pick up that maybe the generator wants to hug them. And so before the generator actually finally gets to the, hey, I want to give you a hug, would you like a hug? They don't get that. Instead, they just get, would you like a hug? And then the generator goes, uh-huh. But they didn't get the invite. And it's not enough that just because they pick up where the energy can go, they beat it to it. And so that can leave them end up feeling like, well, they always get what they want. What do I get? You know? And so that taste, right? That taste there is like, well, okay, but you're not waiting for the invitation. You're not clean. So that thing is not about the other. It's about you being clean in your process. Your mind is compromising you. And so this is, what the mind does in general. And so looking at things in a mechanical way, if you're not clean in your mechanics, then the odds are your mind is compromising you in some way. And inside that compromise comes the blame of what the other is not giving you, of how the other is treating you. Instead of the, well, hold on. How am I operating? Because I know that when I'm correct, in the end, it just turns into like, regardless of what this sees, or even if there's like upset or whatever the experience is, in the end, it was like, well, I responded to it. So, all right. Yeah, I see this doesn't work, or yeah, whatever it might be. But in the end, it was like, yeah, but it was correct for me to do it. I had a response. So it remains in the surrender, and it gets rid of this person did that or that to me, or they didn't do this for me, or whatever it is, or they neglected me, or, it's, is it correct for you being across from whatever it is you're across from? I don't know if that part makes sense, but if you're in your experiment, it really is like, if you're getting upset at another person for being who they are, and they're not directly in your face, so they're not, coming at you verbally or physically or whatever, but they're over there, they're in their own thing, and you're being upset by that over there, well, that's a whole other thing, you know. And if you are in a thing with another person where you're together, is it correct for you to be there in each moment? Are you actually following your strategy and authority? Or is the mind getting in there and creating a narrative and a story and a potential compromise as to why you're across from them in that moment, why you're talking to them in that moment? Um, so this thing of returning and going, wait a minute, how clean am I? How clean am I in my mechanics? How is my mind interfering? This is a incredibly important thing to recognize when you're in your experiment. And if emotional being is making decisions when they're stirred up, when they're cranked, when their emotion is heightened, are they going towards something? Are they initiating something? Are they expressing from there? And yeah, unless a person is right in their face, like coming at them, for me, it's you're just going to create chaos, right? You're going to create potential blowback or whatever else. Like, you, I, I'd go wait. I'd go wait. You know, go wait for clarity. Or if you're a generator and your sounds aren't coming, but you're giving words anyway, it's like you're just getting yourself into trouble. But that's the thing. If you're accountable, it's really easy to have all that stuff be settled. Like, oh yeah, I was cranked up in my emotions. I was totally triggered in them, and I let that out on somebody, and they weren't in my face or coming at me. There was no cause for me to push back. Um, or for the generator, right? Yeah, I didn't have a sound, but I said yes anyway, and they took my yes and committed me to something. Now I'm super frustrated. And being accountable, like, oh yeah, I did say yes. I understand why you followed through. You didn't do anything. My truth didn't answer for me. Or a projector, right? Feeling bitterness with somebody. It's like, well, did you get rejected because you initiated with them? No matter how kind your offering was, they still had a no to you, or you didn't feel like you got much from it. It's like, did you really wait for them to invite you? So being able to look at something in how we're designed to meet each other in each moment can really help clean up and get rid of the stories and just bring in an empirical reality, which is waiting and initiating. Waiting and initiating, waiting and initiating. Did you wait for, you know, your response? Did you wait for life's push? And then whatever your inner authority is, did you wait for an invitation? Did you wait for life to initiate you and then wait a lunar cycle? Because that's where I've seen that centeredness, being able to sit in what is unpleasant, what the mind wants to run from, the mind wants to try to protect you from with these awful strategies that it comes up with. It just makes things worse. Like this experience I'm going through, the value of strategy and authority is just, it is crazy. I can't even imagine what my distorted version of myself would be trying to do right now. Like, I just, god damn, you know? So, I don't know. I think that's what has come for now, you know? Um, so, yeah, that's what it's like to, right now, to sit in the back seat and share what it is that I'm seeing.